Deborah, say morning coffee with Bob.
Morning coffee with Bob.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Deborah,
Mm,
welcome to Morning Coffee with Bob.
does nobody
You're
else,
my guest on the show.
Does nobody else
You're my
like
guest.
you?
No one likes
Because
this.
I'm the only one you
Listen,
ever have on here.
I
I
asked-
never see another video with you doing morning coffee with Bob and any fucking body else
I see.
but me.
I've asked 6 people to join this show today, and nobody wants to be a part of it. But
I
today's
wonder why.
today, listen, this is a great show, and I'm very selective who's on this show. Very selective. You
need to loosen up your
I might interview Merle tomorrow. Anyway, listen. Come on over here.
I'm here. What do you
We're going
want?
to talk about engine longevity.
I'm over here doing other things. I ain't got time for you.
Let me tell you a trick on why engines, how they can last longer. If you have a newer engine that has that after treatment stuff in it, scroll past. But if you have an older engine and you want it to last longer, quit turning it off. Quit turning your engine off. Or you can take the math and figure out how much a rebuild is compared to how much fuel you use. Go ahead and do the math on that. If you have a Caterpillar, you're probably looking between $30,000 and $40,000 to rebuild an engine with a platinum kit. So then you can go ahead and actually figure out how much fuel you use for idling. And if you want to save your engine and make it last a whole bunch longer, because I got 1 million miles on this engine right now, and I don't use oil. I don't add oil. 10,000 miles, I don't add a drop. The trick is, you know what the trick is, Deborah?
Not turning your engine off.
We don't turn it off. We get a hotel, this truck will stay on. We don't turn it. And the reason why engines wear out and you get blow by is because you have different, your engine's moving. Pistons going up and down in there. It's an aluminum piston, it's a steel head. It's a steel sleeve. Pistons going up and down, up and down. The tolerances for this engine are meant to be at 190 degrees. That's what this engine's supposed to stay at. That's what the tolerances are set up for. Every time you turn your engine off and it cools down and it heats up and it cools down and it heats up, those are heating and cooling cycles that wear out the liners inside your engine. And if you want to stop that from happening, let it stay at 190 degrees. Don't shut it off. I had my last rebuild at 1 million miles. I had to convince the guy that there was 1 million miles on it. I had it rebuilt because there was a crack in the head, not because it needed it. It actually just had a crack in the head, and it had 1 million miles, so I put a platinum kit on it. But I had to convince him that it had 1 million miles. He didn't believe it, and he wanted to know what I did.
That's true. That's true.
He did. Remember, he called us.
I know. You don't have to go through it.
They haven't heard it.
I was there for it.
They ha't heard it. So the guy
How
called
long
me.
is this fucking video gonna be?
I got 9 minutes. Sit tight.
Holy hell.
I got 9. Hang on. The guy called me and said, "Are you sure you have 1 million miles on this?" I said,
Yeah.
"I have the paperwork from my last rebuild." "Sorry about that. Get it done, buddy." Anyway, I have the paperwork.
Are you in there yet? Holy fuck.
I said to the guy, "I have the paperwork from the last rebuild, and you can plug into the ECM and find out the mileage I have now." So we went up. I gave him the paperwork. He plugged in the ECM. He said, "My gosh, you do have 1 million miles." He goes, "I build engines every day and have for most of my life. I've never seen this in my entire life." And I said, "What?" He said, "Come out here, let me show you something." He had the head off the engine. He said, "Look inside these cylinders." He said, "Do you see the cross hatching, the lines?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You just have a couple scores." He said, "I have never seen an engine that had 1 million miles on it where they didn't look like mirrors, that they were shining." And I said, "Really?" He said, "What do you do?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "What do you haul?" He said, "All kinds of freight, van." He said, "When do you change your oil? What do you have?" It's just like Rotilla, Gallon Lucas. He said, "Everybody does that." So where do you live? I said, "I live in my truck." He said, "How often do you shut it off?" I said, "Never." He said, "There's your answer." I said, "What?" He said, heating and cooling cycles will ruin an engine faster than anything. So really. So it's not uncommon if you leave your Caterpillar engine on to get 1.5 million or 2 million miles on it before you need a rebuild. So, and as far as taking off twin turbos and putting on a single turbo, it's a really bad idea. People don't understand like how VGT turbos work, what twin turbos do
Now
compared to a single turbo.
Now you're gonna start an argument.
But I'm going to tell you, I run at 1400 RPMs all day. I have the same crank in here, the same crank with 3 million miles on it at 1400 RPMs. The same crank, never been changed. It's got 3 million miles on it. I run at 1400 RPMs. I have twin turbos. When you have a single turbo, you got to run at like 1600 RPMs. If you have a VGT turbo, that's the same thing as a twin turbo. That does the same job as a twin turbo. There's a low boost and a high boost. So if you're going to tell me to take off twin turbos off this truck, you're going to have to tell me the difference between a compound turbo setup and what a VG turbo does compared to the RPMs that you would run with a twin turbo compared to a VGT turbo, and the power ratio compared to a single turbo. And if you can know and explain the difference in those things, then you'll be able to convince me.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
It didn't look like you had anything. You're just touching the screen.
I just won 384.
You know, I don't really like this video.
I don't either.
We should post it then. It's going up.
Whatever, peace, bitches.
All right, bye.
All right.